يا حسين 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 يا حسين حسين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا يوم كيومك يا أبا عبد الله. There is no day like your day, O Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. When we hear the name of Hussein, our spirit is energized. When we hear of Hussein, we think of sacrifice, we think of justice. And at the same time, when we hear the name Hussein, our hearts are broken. Al-Imam Hussain alayhi salam was born into the purest household in history. His grandfather is like no other, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. His father is Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander of the faithful. His mother is Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, the best of the women of all worlds. His elder brother is Al-Imam al-Hassan salawatullahi alayhi. The purest house in history was the house of Imam Hussain. He grew up under the care of his grandfather, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Many times the Prophet would cry when he would reflect and think of the future of this young boy. Salama, the wife of the Prophet, narrates, one day the Prophet went into his room and he told me, I would like to rest a little bit. See if you can have no one disturb me. Salama says, I saw young Hussein running towards the room of his grandfather. I tried to stop him so he would not distract his grandfather, but I could not. He slipped from my hands and he entered the room. I entered the room to see what was happening when I saw Hussein sitting on the chest of the Prophet and the Prophet is crying. I thought maybe Hussein is disturbing his grandfather. I told him, Ya Rasulullah, allow me to take Hussein. He said, no, Salama, no, do not take him. He's from the heart of the Prophet. How can you take him? But just now Jibreel informed me and he asked me, do you love your grandson? I told him, yes, Jibreel, I love him. He told me, Jibreel, let me tell you that one day your grandson Hussein will be massacred in Karbala. And just now he showed me the dust of Karbala on which my grandson Hussein shall be massacred. The Prophet loved Al-Imam al-Hussein dearly. He would play with him, he would carry him. He would prolong his sujood so he would not disturb Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Sometimes he'd abruptly end his sermon when he would see his beloved Hussein entering the mosque. And because he was wearing a long garment, he tripped, he fell. The Prophet ended his sermon just to embrace Hussein. But what happened to this Hussein? The Arab poet states very vividly and movingly, يوم على صدر المصطفى ويوم على وجه الثرى. One day Hussein is on the chest of the Prophet and another day he's on the plains of Karbala. One of the greatest stories and lessons and values that we learn from Al-Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam on the day of Ashura is to have full reliance in God. Even in moments of difficulty, we resort to God and we trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do not object to Him. One historical report tells us that Al-Imam al-Hussain, after being surrounded by the enemies, many arrows were shot at him. He was bleeding profusely. He was on the ground, breathing his final moments. What would you do in that position? We would probably object, oh Allah, I'm your servant. I'm an infallible Imam. I'm the grandson of your Prophet. How can you allow this to happen? No. You know what Aba Abdullah al-Hussain stated? He said, Ilahi ridan biqada'ik, la ma'buda siwak, aghithni ya ghiyath al-mustaghithin. Oh Allah, I wholeheartedly submit myself to you. Oh Allah, you are my source of assistance. Help me. Expedite my martyrdom basically and take me to you. This is a beautiful lesson that we learn from Al-Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. I learned from Al-Imam al-Hussain how to live in dignity and how to stand up to justice, even if it means that I sacrifice my own personal interests. Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam shows us how to live and how to die, how to sacrifice for Allah and how to sacrifice for humanity. I offer you all my sincerest condolences on the days of Muharram, the days of Ashura, as we commemorate the legacy and the tragedy of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And I sincerely thank all the brothers and sisters for their amazing efforts in the Tears for Karbala project. They've spent many endless hours to reflect on the story of Karbala and to share it with the world. May Allah bless you. Assalamu ala al-Hussain wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussain wa ala awlad al-Hussain wa ala ashab al-Hussain.